Laserfiche can be, specifically when we're talking about onboarding and performance reviews. And we're going to do this by playing the parts of a new employee who's looking to join our company here, as well as a recruiter, and then a general administrator. And we're going to do all this by using our Laserfiche Forms tool, our Laserfiche repository, and then some of our integrations like our Laserfiche connector tool and Laserfiche Microsoft Outlook. But first, like I said, we're going to get comfortable with the repository interface, how we can move around the interface, how we can move around Laserfiche, and then move into our Forms product and the onboarding piece of the demonstration. So, as I started with, I assume most of you have not seen Laserfiche in a very long time. And so we're going to start by jumping into Laserfiche itself. There are two ways to access Laserfiche. One is through the desktop client, which just sits on your machine, and the other is through a web client. Both come standard, both have essentially the same functionality. However, I like to work out of the web client, so that's what I'm going to be working out of here. And that gives you the ability to essentially work from anywhere if you choose to. So I'm actually going to log in here as a recruiter. And this is important because security and ease of use are kind of the main guiding features of Laserfiche. So everything that we do, everything we develop, everything we show, we want to be safe and secure and easy to use at the same time. And so I'm going to log in as somebody who's a recruiter so that you can get an idea of what certain views for certain people may look like. So this should look fairly familiar to you. We based Laserfiche off of the Windows folder structure. And so as we go down into folders, they are set up in a way that makes sense for you and your HR department. Your HR department may be different than, or set up slightly differently than somebody else on the same call here. And so we give you the ability to configure this however meets your needs. So again, with security though, as a recruiter, I can see all the employee files because I'm the recruiter, and I can see onboarding documents and incoming documents, but I can't necessarily see our contracts or maybe some of the wage garnishments or some of the other things that have gone on inside of Laserfiche because I don't have access to them. They're still there. They're still available for other people to see, like our administrator, but for our recruiter, there's no real reason for her to be able to see that information, so we go ahead and take access away from her to see that. It's very, very simple and something we'll get into in a little bit here, but again, it's something important to know that just because you have all your documents stored doesn't mean that everybody has access to see them. What's also really nice is that when we're in here, we can also customize any of these columns. Again, going back to that comment I made about ease of use, we want people to see things that make sense to them. So if I go into somebody's folder, we can adjust what these look like if we want to. We can adjust, which you see here, we now have template and creation date as opposed to the other information we had before, because it's what makes sense to this recruiter, to what we want to see. Again, we can store any type of file type or any type of document, just like any type of file, and we can open them either in their native application or in our own viewer. Again, it's a preference to what you think is best or what you would like to do. But what you also notice here is when we go to the name of these documents, they're all named in something that makes sense, what the document is and then who it's about. And this is because we use standardized naming conventions. Whenever a document comes into Laserfiche, we get all the metadata of that document, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. And then we use that metadata to name the document. And so you don't end up with things named however people feel like naming them. You have the same naming convention across all of your documents, which makes it a lot easier to find and work with documents. So metadata is very, very, very important. Metadata is, to me, the backbone of Laserfiche. What metadata is it's the information about your information. So to make that a little bit clearer, if you think you're at a card catalog at a library, you pull out a card. On that card in the library, you have the author, the publisher, the number of pages, the genre. All of that is information that helps you find and catalog that book. We take that to the next level here. What we do is we take information off a document itself and put it inside of a template. And that template is something that you can create. You can have as many of those as you want. We don't give you 10 or 15 and say they all have to fit inside these boxes of 10 or 15. You can have 30, 40, 100, 200, or you you can have just 2 or 3. It's really up to you. But inside of those templates, we have things called fields. And these fields are really the vital information we had talked about. So things like employee status, employee ID, first and last name. This is information we gather and then put into this metadata. Now, the way we do that is a number of different ways. One of them is actually via pulling things off of a document itself. So if we open up a W-4 here, you'll be able to see that W-4 opens right up and allows us to actually be able to view the document itself, just like you would if you'd pulled it out of a filing cabinet. You have the document right here. And we can pull the metadata off this page based on something we call OCR, which is optical character recognition. We can read what's on this page and pull it out and put it in here. We can also manually type information in if that makes sense or is more appropriate. Or we can do a database lookup, pull from your HRIS system or pull from your ERP system and put information into this metadata. But then, like I said, we use this to then name documents, to search on documents, etc. And we can also use these fields for searching. So we can do very easy searching. If I want to search for all tax documents, I can just search for all templates of tax documents. You know, I want to find everything from 2015 or everything related to Andrew Hall. I can do that search very, very easily. This is something we can get into a little bit deeper. If you see people have questions at the end, I can get into this a little bit deeper. But I want to make sure we have enough time to cover HR as well. So when we're inside of a document here, to actually see a document, work with a document, we didn't want to take anything away from you that you would have access to do or the ability to do in paper in front of you. So we have the ability to view the document here, obviously. We have the ability to view the panes of the document over here to quickly go between different pages. If you have more than 3 or 4 page document, it's very helpful. As well as the ability, if you give somebody the access to, be able to move documents around, add and remove pages, add whole documents into other documents. But all of that is a granular security right. Because we want security to be top of mind, we make it very easy for you to turn on and off people's rights. So the right to see through or even do redactions. I can't see through this redaction, nor can I add a new redaction. But I can do things like highlight this document and read sticky notes that are on the document. So again, that's working with a document itself. We can also work with Word documents. I can come back to that again at the end. But this was just kind of basic Doc 101. I want to touch on searching just for a quick moment, and then we're actually going to jump into the HR onboarding process itself. So when we talk about searching, we're actually talking about a few different things. When you're searching, you're usually doing one of two things. You're either trying to find a specific document or part of a document, or you're trying to find lots of results that fit inside of a question you're asking. So I want to find all documents that have an annotation with the word review on it. And it's going to pull up that one W-4 that had a sticky note for review on it because I'm doing a specific search for that. So I'm looking for one specific thing. Or I can look for all documents with the word paper in them, regardless of where it is. We may not have anything, but let's do review again. So when I go review, however, so instead of just that sticky note, we now have 69 entries. W-4s, eligibility verifications, handbooks, applications, all kinds of things where we can view and even do previews of documents right here before opening them. So we see what they look like. However, we also have an advanced search. Now, advanced search is really nice because it can do a few things. One is, it can take a whole lot of results, and it can bring them down and boil them down into just the results you're looking for. So we can do things like a field search. Now, I'm not going to touch on each one of these. They're all very, very useful. It just depends on what you're doing. I'm just going to touch on some of the really popular ones, the ones that I find I use a lot. One is a field search. So we can actually do a search on any field inside of the system. So I want to find all documents that are employment applications. And if I searched, it would pull them all up because they all have the same template. I can also look for all employment applications for account managers, or for all account managers that were submitted before, the 1st of this year. And we can keep compounding these searches over and over and over again until we get to a group of results that we like. We can also save these searches, load them up later, share them with other people if you do searches like this all the time. We can get into searching very in-depth. You could do an hour or two on searching, which of course is not the goal. So what I want to do here is just now jump into the actual HR onboarding process itself. And so I'm going to just simply go back here. And what we're going to do is actually start inside of a special recruiting page. So part of what I want to show you today is integrations and how Laserfiche doesn't live in a bubble by itself. What we are doing is interacting with all the other systems that you use on a day-to-day basis. So as part of that, we developed this system here. Now this is not a real product. This is something that we just created to look like an HRIS system. So like a PeopleSoft or like any other system like that, that's doing a lot of things for you, whether it's doing your applications, whether it's doing payments, whether it's doing other things for you, whether it's doing recruiting. It's going to allow you to see information. But we want to take that to the next step. So what we can do is we're actually going to go ahead and find somebody in here. We're going to go and find Magda Morton. Now Magda Morton obviously has applied, but we don't have any information about her yet. Right now she doesn't have a status. We just have her information. She's looking to be an IT manager. And if we open up her application profile, we'll see some notes about her. We'll see some of her basic information. We don't see really anything else there. But what we can do is we can actually start her onboarding process now because we want to go ahead and onboard her. We decide that she's going to be a really great fit for us. And so I'm going to go to our Laserfiche connector tool, which is one of our integration tools that we have. And I can right from here start the new hire onboarding process. And when I click that, it's actually going to figure out what's on this page. And it's going to actually open up for me to pull in information on Magda. Now I have all this obviously already. She gave it to me, so I already scanned it into our system. And so what I'm going to do is hop in here, go to Magda's, and I have her information here. So we're going to select both of these, and we're going to open them in. And what it's doing is it's actually pulling them inside of our Laserfiche system now. And what we're doing is all of this is being done on the back end by workflow. Instead of you having to go in and import all these documents yourself, figure out where they belong, put them in the right folder, rename them, fill out all the metadata by hand, what we're actually going to do is do it all for you automatically. And if I refresh this page, we're going to see that her status has now changed entirely to hired. So because we got her application, because we got her information from whatever your other system is, from however you do your hiring, you want to now do the onboarding. All we have to do is click that one button, pull in those two documents, and we moved her directly to hired. This is also visible on the last page as well. So if I go back here and refresh this one, if we go down to Magda, we'll see that she's hired here as well. So this has been updated automatically. This is another form of integration where we are pushing information to this outside third-party system so that you're actually updating what people see on a daily basis. We can also do this using our tool called Import Agent, which allows it to, we can essentially just watch a folder and every time something comes in, pull that in. And we could scan. So if you didn't already have the documents electronic, we could scan them into the system. And you could even scan from our Laserfiche connector tool. So instead of new hire onboarding, we could hit a button that says scan and go to our scanner, either our MFP or the one on our desk, and scan in those documents. And again, have this process happen automatically for us. Again, we want to give you the options for what works best in your business process. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to jump back to our employee files. And what we've done is we have actually made Magda a folder here. So let me jump over here. We'll see that we gave her information. We have her employee ID, here we have her position, and we have all these different columns here for her, as well as a folder that was just made and was just indexed. Now if I go over here, we can actually see exactly what it is that she owes us. So because she owes us information, right? She's a new employee. She has to do a whole lot of things before she can actually start on her first day. And so these are all different things that she has to do for us. She has to do her 507 or W-4. handbook acknowledgments, new video receipts, all kinds of things that she has to do that normally somebody would have to come in on their first day, sit in front of you, and spend half or a whole day, if not more, doing videos and filling out forms and doing acknowledgments and reading the handbook. Why can't we just have people do that before they even come to their first day? And so that's really the goal. So I'm going to open up Magda's folder here. We'll see that her information is in here still, the eligibility verification with her name and the job application, both renamed with metadata already applied to them, to each one of these documents here. And we can also change this to documents. And we'll see here, we want to see a little bit more information. So we want to see what these templates are. We don't want to see other information. That's all we really want to see here. Now these columns, again, we can select and customize for every pane, every person. Whoever wants to see things a little bit differently, we can customize that to make it easier for them to see. Now you saw I got a little email there. IT received an email to let them know that we had actually hired a new employee, Magda. We gave her their position of IT manager. We gave them their start date. And this is all things that need to be done before she starts. So instead of you having to go tell IT, or first day we get there and realize that her phone doesn't work, or she's not in AD, or she doesn't have an email, we don't have to worry about all that because IT has already been told that when she gets hired. And we can do this to other departments as well. So if she has to get provisioned a cell phone, or get put into another system of yours, or be given a key card, or be printed out an identification piece, we can do all of that by telling the people who need to be told that as soon as something happens, to take out some of that human error. But we also got an email to Magda. Magda's hired now. They have an orientation for her. And what she needs to bring is her driver's license, social, and passport. But to speed it up, we can actually go to our portal and fill out some of the forms that we already talked about that were needed. We have our information here for what we need to do to log in, because we've automatically made her an account so she can get in there. And we're going to jump in here to the portal. Now, this email is tailored automatically. So we can tailor this to each person. Now, this is an IT person, so maybe they need to be able to, they need to do a few extra steps than maybe somebody who's in Parks and Rec, or maybe the new town clerk gets hired and they need to do a lot of different information or fill out a lot of other information rather than an IT manager. This can be completely configured to whatever you want. We don't want to, again, pigeonhole you into doing something that isn't part of your process or doesn't make sense for you. So we're logged in. Now I've already logged in as Magda beforehand. And what we're going to do here is actually run through filling out some of those documents. And we're going to do that on our Laserfiche Forms tool. So Forms is our web-based Forms tool. And what it allows us to do is give you a place to fill out forms, be part of a forms process, and take all of that information that you gather and put it in a place that makes sense. So if you think about any type of form you need to fill out, whether it is new employee notification forms, whether it is employee handbook acknowledgments, whether it is doing expense reports, vacation requests, filling potholes, agenda combining, or filling out an agenda. All of that can be done and created through Laserfiche Forms very, very easily. So we see she has an inbox already set up, and we can easily jump in and go to our first document. And this is the emergency notification form. And so what we're actually doing is we've created this form, and what I can do is look at it, and I can actually fill it out here. But I could also save it, so if I don't finish it in time, I can save it. I can reassign it. This doesn't make sense in this case, but in other cases, we can reassign forms to other people in case they really don't belong to us. We can flag them or change the due date if we want to make sure that the due date is set for us on our own machine, our own calendar. But what we're going to do is actually start filling out these forms. Like I said, forms are very configurable. In fact, we let you build whatever you want and build as many forms as you want and have people fill out as many forms as you want because it's a tool that's really, really powerful. We actually give people business processes. That's what these are, actual processes. We give almost 100 of them pre-built. So things like emergency notifications, things like expense reports, like requesting a record. Things like that are all forms and processes that we've pre-built and given you already so that you can already start with something. So you don't have to start from scratch with these things that everybody uses us for. So in this case, we have a very dynamic document. We know who I am already. I can't edit that. It's telling me I need to fill out these fields or it won't let me continue. So I'm going to put in that I am the emergency contact, and I'm going to go with brother. We're going to do, now you'll see here, I did not put that in right, and so it's going to yell at me and tell me I need to fix that. So I can go ahead and throw in here the correct input. I can also add and remove people that I see necessary. Now in this case we capped it at 3, but you can change that because we want to give you the functionality. So if you've ever filled out a form that has 3 or 4 or 5 pages and only 1 or 2 of those actually apply to you, some are for office use only, some are for only people who are part of this organization or that. Well, that doesn't happen here because we can click a button and remove sections of the form, or click a button to add these parts of the form, automatically do that, do database lookups, all of that to help alleviate the stress and the effort it takes to fill out these forms. Now, this is not required, so I don't actually have to submit this. I can decline, but just in case, I want to make sure that my brother gets told that in case something happens, and so I'm going to go ahead and submit this form. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and give me a little notification here that I've actually finished out this form. It's just loading to tell me that. And we have a second form that we're going to have to go into and actually fill out here. This is going to take a second here. There we go. Now we're in the second form. We've automatically loaded up that second form for me to do, so I don't have to worry about going and finding it or going to my inbox here again and looking for it. And this is a really, really cool task. So normally, in order to give people the handbook to sign off and say that they've read it, you'd either have to send it to them beforehand, have them read it, sign a page, and send it back to you, or come in and sign something to say that they've done it or read it in front of you. We can alleviate that very simply with a very, very simple form, where what we have is we have the handbook here, and this is actually inside of Laserfiche. We're just showing somebody what it looks like. We give them the ability to download it if they want, but they can go in here and they can read the guidebook if they want. Well, they should. And then we have this big blurb here for everything that I need to do, and then I can come in here and just easily sign this. We can type our name, so we can draw, and we could even use a topaz pad. So if you have somebody come in and do something like this, if we were doing a Parks and Rec form, or somebody coming in to sign their child up for summer camp, or to use the local tennis courts or use the golf course, we can go ahead and have a signature pad for you so they can sign the waivers right there. So you don't have to have paper waivers, and they automatically go to the right people. We can sign that. The date's already been captured. We can leave a comment if we'd like, but that's a very, very simple form that only took a few seconds to fill out. But we have the ability here to have full documents in here, and these documents can be updated on a regular basis. Here at Laserfiche, when a new part of the handbook gets changed, we all get emails that allow us to see it just like this. I sign off on it, and it's done. It gets put into my file to say that I have looked at and approved this part of the new employee handbook here. And so what I'm going to do is I've signed off. I'm not going to leave any comments. I'm just going to submit this form. Now, this was just a very small part of what Laserfiche forms can do. We can do a whole lot more, and we can really get into it for a while. I just want to make a few quick comments here that forms are designed to do anything that you want it to do. If you have any sort of form or any sort of data that you want to capture, we can help you create a form that does that. And the key is that we want you all to be able to do that. And so if you want to learn how to create a form, it's very simple. It's a drag and drop interface. There really isn't necessarily a whole lot of IT involved for this. It's a very simple process to make. But we can also do things like pulling out of a database. So we know that I'm an IT manager, so we're actually going to send me the video for IT managers to watch, not the video for somebody new in the city clerk's office or in the Parks and Rec department. Again, we're going to pull out and give this video to the person that it belongs to. Now, I could close out of this and save as a draft, or I can just actually, let me save the draft here, and let me close out. And what I can do is actually go back to my folder here, and I can go back to employee files. Now I'm back in Laserfiche here. If I go back to myself, we'll see that there's only now three things that I now have to do. It is the new hire video, which I'm working on, the W-4 and the 507 form. These have been updated continually with our system. And every time I fill one out, it gets pushed into our system here. So my emergency notification form is right here with all the metadata in it. And if I open it, we'll actually be able to see that form I filled out inside of my permanent file. So I don't have to worry about where this goes or did it get given to the right person, is it in the right folder. It is automatically in the right folder, automatically named correctly, and automatically with the emergency contact information in here very, very easily. Now, Forms is not just designed for a one-on-one process. You send people things and they do it. We can also do things another way, which is kind of in a team process. So, let's say that somebody is doing a records request and they want to see some HR documents. Well, that can go to all of the people in the HR department, and one of them can decide to take it out of that queue and fill out that form. We can also do things where, depending on the process, have it set up in a round-robin format. So the next person who is supposed to be filling out or be part of this form, answering a response or doing this form, is the one who gets to do it. And we can even give it to the person with the lightest workload. Again, in this case, that isn't what we're doing, but there's other situations where that makes a lot of sense. So I'm actually going to go in here and finish out this form that I saved. And this is for the new hire, again, the new hire video just for IT. I could watch it if I wanted to. Click this link and it'll watch it, but I'm just going to go ahead and sign it. And I can go ahead and submit this form very simply. Now you'll see these are three very important forms that we created very, very quickly and are now, in my file. I don't have to worry about it. I just went in, I did that, and I left. I can do this in the comfort of my home. I can do it while I'm on vacation. This is a web-based tool, so you can give people access to fill these forms out from wherever you want them to do. But we're done with forms now, so that was kind of the forms piece. We've gone in, we've submitted tasks, and we can now go away. There's nothing we can do. But if we didn't want to use forms, we could also have new hires submit documents in person, which is what we're going to do for those other two documents that are left. And those other two documents are the W-4 and the 507 form, which is a Maryland state form. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually open up our Quick Fields tool. Now, Quick Fields is our batch capture tool. What it's going to allow us to do is actually take a lot of different documents in paper or that are already electronic and pull them into our system here. And so I'm going to go to tax documents. I'm going to click that to open up this process, and I'm going to actually scan them in. Now I don't have a scanner hooked up to here, so I'm just going to point this to a folder and pull in documents that I've scanned in earlier today. But what's important here is that we're just capturing information. And so, like I said, we're pulling in two documents. We're pulling in a W-4 and a 507. So you can imagine, that Magda here has sent them to me either electronically or she has come in and she has them in front of us. And what we've done is we've pulled in a W-4 and a 507. So if I open the W-4 here, we will see that we have a W-4. We have the name of it is being named with the metadata we've pulled off. We've pulled off the social that's on this document, but it's been redacted here. Now I can see through it because I'm just showing you what it looks like, but normally we would maybe have the scanner operator be able to see through it so that they could identify that this is, yes, this is the social, this is correct, and then send it directly into Laserfiche where it then gets redacted fully so nobody can see it. But again, this is already set up, ready to go into Laserfiche. We've done this via Zone OCR, so we know where W-4 is on the field. We know where 2017 is on the field, or 2016, excuse me, is on the field. And so what we've actually done is figure out where those are, figure out what the words are inside of there, and put them here inside of the metadata. We've done the social a little bit different. We've done that via a format check or a pattern match. So we looked for 3 numbers, 2 numbers, and then 4 numbers. And we found that exact pattern, and we've gone ahead and redacted that and pulled off the information here very, very easily. Again, with the 507, what we've done is we've pulled off information on it, and we have put it here inside of the Laserfiche as well. So it's the exact same type of form. And what I'm going to do here is just store these into Laserfiche. And again, this is for people who are doing paper documents, or you maybe you go through a hiring phase and you have a whole bunch of interns, a whole bunch of people you're hiring all at once, and you want to do a lot of these documents at once. It's very simple to just pull that information in and do a whole bunch of those at once. You'll see there what we did was we actually took 2 different documents, scanned together, separated them, and figured out what they were instantaneously. So I can actually go back here, and I can go into, let me just refresh this page here for 1 second. And if I go back to Magda's piece of Laserfiche, what we'll see is that there shouldn't be any more documents that need to be submitted. So if I go down to Magda, we'll see there's nothing else here that needs to be done. You know, there are no other fields here that need to be submitted. I can go in, I can see all of my documents are now here, my 507, my W-4. If I click on the W-4, what we'll see is we're missing a field, right? We're missing that social field. We've not only redacted the social in the W-4 so I cannot see through it, and redacted it so far that I can't even search on it. If I knew her exact social and I tried to search for it, it wouldn't come up because we redacted it. We've also completely hidden the field as well from myself because I don't have the security rights to see through this. But our admin and the records manager does have the rights. They can see through these redactions and can see that extra field because we want to give them as many rights as possible. So again, going back to the security piece, we want to make sure that you can see and work with this document as if it was a normal document in paper in front of you, but even more secure and even safer. So all these documents are now together. So Magda is now hired. She's on the job. She's filled out all of her forms. And we're going to, you know, I don't want this demo to take 6 months. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend it's been a few months now. And we're actually going to want to do a performance review. And so I'm actually going to log out of here. Instead of being Magda, who I've been logged in as, or excuse me, Riley, recruiter, who I've been logged in as, who's a kind of a general level recruiter, I'm going to log in instead as Matt, who is our HR manager. So he can do more, he can see more, and he can, in fact, do a little bit different folder structure because he has different security rights. And so we're now logged in as Matt. Matt sees things a little differently. His columns are already different. But what we're going to do is also log into our forms, because now forms also has to be logged in by Matt. Now, normally you all and your employees wouldn't have to do this, log in and out all the time. We just have to do this here because I want to show you kind of a different process. This is that performance review process I was talking about. And so we're going to jump in as Matt. And we can go in here. Let me go ahead and do a quick send receive here. There it goes. So it's been, it's been some time now. Some time has passed, and Magda's 90-day probationary period is coming up. And so Matt, who's her manager, or the HR manager, since she's an IT manager, her boss is going to be the HR manager, who's going to do performance reviews for her. He's going to have to fill out the performance review to evaluate Magda's work here. And so we're going to go ahead and we can click here to open the task, or what I'll do here is actually show you, we went into forms, this is our forms inbox again, and we see everything that we need to do right here in front of us. We can have important tasks that rise to the top, we can have things color-coded, we can even do things like if I don't fill this out in 10 days, I will get emailed, and if I don't do it in another 5 days, we'll email my boss and tell him that I haven't done my job and that somebody needs to do it. So we can escalate things. Now I know that, so I'm going to get right on this, and I want to make sure I review Magda correctly. And so I open up the task here. We see the form review. Again, another form that we've gone ahead and created. Now, I can show some details over here, so I can see that we started this task automatically. It's now up to me to actually evaluate Magda. I can see here that we filled out all this information has been filled out automatically. We pulled it from the database. We don't have to worry about filling all this out and making sure the right information here. It's already correct. And if I go in here, we should be able to see, again, the same idea, the summary and information about the document. So go back in here. Now I can actually go in here and do some performance reviews of Magda. So we're going to give her just a few little ratings here. Very knowledgeable, somewhat productive, maybe a little bit better customer service. We gave her a number of ratings. We've actually done some math on this and gave her a rating. Now, again, this is just an idea, just a sample. You can make this whatever you want. This is just an idea, a sample of what we can do here. So we're actually going to change this. She's actually full-time. She's not part-time. And if she needs any improvement, needs to be a little nicer. We will work on nicer. Again, you can leave comments. We can do anything we want. None of these are technically required fields. I don't have to fill them out, but I'm going to here. I'm going to submit it. So I was the assistant manager. I was kind of the MAP manager, the first person to do it. But then this goes to the next person. This goes to director of operations now. And he can come in here and actually view what to do. So I'm going to come in here this first step, and we can see all the different things that have happened. Now, these are all, again, uneditable for me. I just want to see what's going on and see if I want to make any changes. So I can make a comment and say, this looks right to me. And I can save this, or I can actually send it back for changes. Now, if I send it back for changes, I can actually come in and annotate this. I can fix it. I can make some little changes, and then it'll go back to get changed by the assistant manager. Or I can approve this, and I should also have the ability to, let me just refresh this 1 second. Okay, good. So I have this one option here. Now I can send for changes or approve. I'm going to approve it here because I think it looks pretty good. And what we've done here is we've kind of essentially finished this, right? So it's all done. And we can go back to our email here. We can see if we get an email here from Magda. So again, Director of Operations got an email letting we know that their performance review is done. Now, this is important because our Director of Operations is not always inside of forms waiting for performance reviews to come to him, right? He has other things to do that are very, very important. And so we let him know via an email. Now, he could have gone in and made annotations and made changes and told Map Manager what he needed to fix. But we went ahead and we looked in and we said that it was all good. We don't need to worry about that. So Magda has her review finalized. We can come back in here and we can go into Matt's folder and we can need to log back in here. We can go to employee files and we can go again, just like before, we can go to Magda's file. But again, you see everything's a little bit different here. And we'll see here that all her information is here as well still. So Matt can see it even though he's a different bit of a manager. And if we go to tasks here, we now have a secondary task for Director of Operations. So before we were just a manager. We're just going to come in here and do the same approval. Now again, this is really dependent on your process. We wanted to show everybody's processes all together, a number of different steps that happen. In this case, we can say, there might be something we want to fix here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to say that I actually think that she needs to fix something, and so we're going to highlight knowledge and maybe leave a little note. Again, this is really all up to you and what you want to do, how you want to leave redactions and things like that. All I'm going to do here is, instead of making any changes, I'm just going to say submitted. There we go. Again, Director of Operations. Now our store director, it goes back to him to review. I'm just going through this somewhat quickly because this is a process really dependent on how your process works. So if somebody does need some sort of work, we can do that. The really important piece here about this is that these forms don't just have to go in one direction. They don't just have to go from somebody who submitted it to the next person, then that's it. They can move around. They can go back and forth. They can be edited and changed within reason. So nothing has been changed. I can make some changes. I can go ahead and increase the customer service, lower this a little bit, but increase that. And I can make my changes complete. So as as all the managers of Magda, our jobs are complete. We've actually done everything we need to do. The last step is to actually have that meeting with Magda. And so I'm still the manager here, still Magda's manager, so I go and sit down with her. I pull up this form in front of her, and we go over it together because this is the process that we do for our performance reviews here. We all go over our forms, and so we look at it. We explain everything. We explain all the changes that happened. We explain why things need to happen, what we need to do to change it. Our employee can come in here and sign it. Then we're going to have the assistant manager sign it if we want, and we'll have him draw. And we can even have the store director sign as Matt manager. We can have all these different people sign if we want. We can acknowledge this. So if we had everybody together, we could do that. Now there's absolutely nothing left for us to do with the form. Everybody's forms are complete. Everybody has done their job. And if we go into the repository here, we'll be able to see that this will actually end up inside of her employee file as well. Again, a signed copy of it because it's an important document that needs to be saved inside of her file as a permanent or as a record until she leaves the company. So we can see her performance review here. And if I open it up, we'll be able to see the actual piece itself here. The actual document signed by everybody inside of her file. Just loading up here. There we go. So we see the entire thing. If there were changes, we'd see all the changes. I didn't make any changes though. So we can also do things like reporting. So we can actually report on performance reviews here. Now we have lots of reporting. I'm just going to view one for performance reviews that we did, the Q1 performance reviews. Obviously it's Q2 right now, but this is still going to show us the information I want to show. And it's going to show us reports about, all the different employees who had the reviews, what kind of reviews they are, if they're completed, if they're still in process, what their ratings are. So we'll be able to see what's gone on. We can even jump into somebody's here and see who did what when, view all the different information about when it was saved to a repository, give you very, very, very granular information as to what's done and who's done what, to make it very easy for you to see what needs to happen. Again, we can get very, very deep into reporting. I'm not going to touch on it too much here, but I just want you to get an idea that there is lots of different reporting as well as different dashboards we can view for the process here. So the performance dashboard for onboarding, we can view all the different onboarding processes and how they've happened on a person by person basis in terms of the task overall. And then we can even view the other process, which was our performance review, which is that secondary piece. We can also view that. Again, there's a number of different types of reporting we can do in both dashboards and reports. So the last piece I want to touch on before we finish here, because we're just at the end of our time almost, is I want to touch on something I've kind of left out, and that is these are all documents inside of a folder, and I've logged in now as two different people. They've both been able to see the documents and see the folders, but nobody has seen any copies. What people are seeing is shortcuts, and that's because we have a records management piece here, a DoD certified, a 5015.2 perpetually certified, and what we're doing is actually shortcutting documents. We're using something called transparent records management. So if you see here, all of these are Magda's documents inside of her folder, and they all have this little tiny arrow here. And that's because as our manager here, I care about going to HR, going to employee files, going to Magda's folder, and then seeing all of her documents all together in one piece. And that makes sense for me. But our records managers normally don't care about that. What records managers really care about is what a document is, when they got it, when they can get rid of it. And so I'm not going to go too deeply into this, but just so you get an idea of kind of what I'm talking about, we have a special view for records managers. And I can go in as Ralph, who's our records manager, and be able to actually see what this looks like kind of on the back end, on kind of the other side of the equation, on the records management piece. So he can go in and see the HR folder. You'll see it already looks different. It's a file box. We go in here and we already see this is extremely different because what are we viewing is, what we're viewing is the different types of documents. We don't just go directly into all the different employees. We go into the tax documents, their benefits enrollment, their performance reviews with different cutoff and retention schedules. We'll work with you to take your retention schedules and your compliance standards, put them into the system so that every document that comes in automatically gets put under retention. We create a document for it if we need to, so 2017, 2016, 2015. And then we apply retention to all the documents inside of it, and we see here that they're the original documents. These are not shortcuts. We're not making any copies. It's just this is the document here. And we can see here the filing date for each one of these docs. So for Magna W4, we can go in here. We can see that it was filed today. It's going to be ready for cutoff at 10/1. It's going to be ready for destruction in 2022. We can do things like keep the metadata, but we can also destroy the document. So when we destroy the document, it's completely destroyed. We are not going to destroy it automatically for you. We're not going to cut it off automatically for you. What we're going to do is let you know and let you click that button, but we're going to make it very easy for you to get all those documents together so you can find what you're looking for. Part of doing that is giving you a special search here, so I can find all documents that are ready for cutoff. The way our system works is when you have a system that's ready to be cut off, that just means it's not an active document anymore, and then it goes into its retention before going into destruction. So I can go in here, I can select all of these, and I can actually cut off this document immediately, or all these documents here. They're now cut off. They're going to be starting their destruction phase, where we wait for them to be ready for destruction or any sort of disposition, not just destruction. But I can also look here for all the documents that are ready for destruction. I can select them all, and I can go in here and I can hit destroy. I do have to hit it twice. We want to make sure it's confirmed, and we've confirmed it. Now the documents themselves are destroyed, but we have kept that metadata. And that's just because we wanted to prove that we had the document. You don't, in fact, have to keep this, but we decided we wanted to. In the state of Virginia, we do use this to tell the Library of Virginia when we've destroyed something. But again, that was a very, very quick records management piece. I really wanted to make sure we focused on HR. I know we have about 9 or so minutes left. That is everything that I had that I wanted to cover. If anybody has any questions, we have a few people in the line, so I wanted to give everybody time until at the end to ask any questions they may have. If you have any other ones, you know, you can always reach out to the Unity team directly, and we can all answer your questions. Does anybody have any questions for me about anything we covered today? No? Okay.
Okay, well, Alex, again, thank you very much for your time in putting this together and in showing it off. It's a great demo. It shows the capabilities of Laserfiche. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today, taking time out of their day to see this demo. And if you have any questions, please contact us.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.